Today we're going to talk about Python. My name is Keith Hansen and I'm a data scientist. I use Python, SAS, Java, and a number of languages. One of the things I want to get through to everyone today is Python and why so many data scientists use it as their go to language. Um, it's not just for data science. Other areas, it's kind of like a go to general purpose language. And we're going to discuss briefly about the history of Python. And then you're going to see some of the reasons that it's the go to language, um, not just for data scientists, but for development companies such as Google and Amazon. But first, let's talk about Python's history. Python was created uh, by this person from the Netherlands, Guido van Rossum. Uh, it was first released in 1991, although Guido really started working on it in the late 80s. He was a huge, and still is, a huge Monty Python fan, and he named the language after Monty Python, which I personally think is pretty chill. Kind of goes with this whole philosophy that he has of taking the simplest path, and that's why Python is so popular because Guido had the philosophy of keeping everything simple and readable. He's been known as the BDFL, the Benevolent Dictator for Life, just because he basically started it. Such a wonderful person to work with. Um, Everyone just kind of gave him, just appointed him basically kingship over the project. However, he abdicated in July 12th of 2018, and he's no longer heading up the project. I'm sure he will still, when people have questions, he will be around for guidance, but he has stepped down from the head role on the Python project. Python's open source, and we discuss that later. And that's why it was kind of important to have kind of a head person leading it uh, for so long. And why Python? You may ask. I mean, there's a lot of languages out there. There's Visual Basic, Visual C++, C Sharp, Java, just oodles of languages out there. One of the things that has been why it became so popular in data science and just a lot of places is readability. And once we look at some of the examples, and you look at some of the examples in your text, when you compare uh, Python to other languages, the readability in the minimalist philosophy, keeping things simple, really, really just sets it apart. So let's pop out of here really quick, and let's see if I can find some to example of this. And here, this this is a little piece of Java for you, and I have to define to say something really simple, like a hello world, hi mom type program. I have to define a class. I call it hello world, and then I decided to change the hello world to hi mom. So basically, all this does in Java, it says hi mom, and yeah, I mean that's a lot of code to do. I mean a very basically a very simple step. So we're gonna see how easy it is in Python. As you remember, all this code we have up here for the Java. And now let me pull up some Python for everyone. Let's go find some Python on here. We got lots of things on here. Okay, let's pull up Python. And in Python, instead of all these lines and having to find a class just to say, hi mom, in Python, all we have to do is this. There we go. I'm sure the developers, Guido's mom is very proud of him. For this one, we could say hi mom really simply. And just the overhead in a lot of other languages compared to uh, the overhead in Python, which is almost a very small amount. Look, just print hi mom as opposed to having to define a class, and it makes it easier. It makes it not easier, just quicker to do, but also just easier to read. I mean, it's a there we go. You see over here we have Python. That's it. This is what we have to do in a Java application to say hi mom. World of difference here. I'm going to minimize these. Open source. I briefly hit that earlier, and that's a huge thing. Some things are great open source, some aren't. Language like this has been wonderful open source because it's let other developers come in there and be able to add in various things like mapping libraries. Just incredible amounts of things developed by the open source community, and which can be easily accessed and included in your Python programs. Licensing is another thing, and this is why a lot of these companies flock to Python. It's open source, and they're not hit with these proprietary license bills. And some things are well worth those bills. We have SAS, we have the database like Oracle. I mean, companies are already hit up for this bill, but they want their language and things that people might write quick scripts in, some open source. And that's what I think really has fueled Python is the fact that it's open source. Someone could write some really quick script in it, not have to have a giant licensing agreement for the corporation, and people can add to it. And it's been really the go-to for the not just in data science, but a lot of communities and people that take and use Python. A lot of them like to give back and donate to the various other libraries out there that you can include in Python, and we would talk about that in some of the future lessons. A lot of companies use Python. It is huge. We have Amazon is big into Python. Pinterest was created with Django, which is this kind of web framework. And the framework itself is written in Python. Google, another company that uses a fair amount of Python, and YouTube. So let's go look out here at YouTube. I'm gonna pop up a browser, go to the Firefox, and I'm gonna go to YouTube. Okay. Now we have all these interesting videos you can watch on YouTube. Johnny Cash, World of Warcraft, comedy videos and whatnot out there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look behind the scenes. I don't know if you ever did this. It's really not a web class, but if you go to your browser and you can usually have a view page source. So I'm going to look over here. And this is ugly because there's all sorts of like server side and client side things going on here, and I'm gonna try to find something. I'm gonna see if I can see some Python and just open up YouTube, and the Python extension is .py, which you guys are you're gonna find out a little later. Everything has its extensions, whether it's a Java program, a Python program, exe, or whatever. And I can see that right here, right over here, we're hitting a Python program that's probably running on that server. It's probably something getting passed over to Google, kicking off a piece of Python when you decide you want to look at something. And that's huge. It's used all over for scripting and just lots of things.